Benedict has announced the year of the priest, beginning on the Feast of the Sacred Heart this year and ending next year on the Feast of the Sacred Heart. And it's, we say, a time of priestly renewal, of prayer for priests. And when I was in the seminary, I always remember this odd story that I read when I was on retreat up in Spencer. And it's kind of incomprehensible, but I'll give you my interpretation. The story is that a man lived in the wilderness, and all the water he found was stagnant and foul, except for one stream. This one stream had pure, fresh water. It was the only water that one could drink. So one day he decides that he was going to follow that stream to its source. So through the forest, over the hills, he continued to follow that pure stream of water to its source. And finally, coming to a mountain, he went up the mountain, and he found the source of that pure, fresh water. And the source was the mouth of a dead dog. Okay, the mouth of a dead dog. It's kind of bizarre, but I think that the resolution is that it's more comprehensible that pure water would flow from the mouth of a dead dog than that divine mercy and grace would flow from the hands of a priest. Okay. Mouth of a dead dog, hands of the priest, neither one makes any sense. But in God's plan, he ordained that human instruments would be channels of his mercy and grace to the world. And instruments have to be humble. They have to recognize the source. And the source is the fact that we believe that in the church there's only one priest, one priesthood. Okay? New Testament has only one priest. New Testament has only one priesthood, only one sacrifice. It's his priesthood, it's his sacrifice that we offer, that we share. It's his priesthood that functions in the church. Like we say, these priests are just instruments of that priest, instruments of he who is the source of all mercy and grace in the world. And it's necessary to be humble instruments, always to realize the source. I remember one story of a priest who went to perform an exorcism. And when he walked into the presence of the man who was possessed, the devil spoke through the possessed man. And the possessed man said, "I fear him not, for he is proud. I fear him not, for he is proud." Okay? The devil has no fear of the proud. It's humility that crushes the head of the serpent, the heel of the woman. What could be more humble than the heel of the woman crushing the head of the serpent? St. Joseph is called the terror of demons. Okay? And what terrorizes demons is humility. And so that vocation to pray for priests is specifically the Carmelite vocation. Carmelites have the vocation to pray for priests. And St. Therese, when she would see or hear about a priest who was not living up to his vocation, she would blame herself because she felt her job was to pray for priests, and if he was not doing her job, and so that Carmelite vocation is instituted in the church. Above all, it's a life of prayer, and particularly for priests. And when she heard of a priest who had left the priesthood, she was sorrowful because of all the sins, she said, that would not be forgiven, all the graces that would not be received. That wounded her very much. In the Old Testament, there were many priests, but they all belonged to one tribe, the tribe of Levi. Okay, there were 12 tribes in Israel, but the Levitical priesthood belonged to the family of Levi. that tribe, one of the priest who functioned in the temple belonged to the tribe of Levi. And that function was passed on by heredity. It was passed on by belonging to that family of Levi. One priest, Father Mitch Pacwa, jokes, he says that in the Old Testament, the priesthood is in Levi's genes. Okay, it's in Levi's genes. Okay, that's okay. But like we say, in the New Testament, the priesthood is in Jesus Christ. And he is both sacrifice and priest. On the cross, the perfect priest offers the perfect sacrifice of himself on the cross. Old Testament, it's the priest, and the sacrifice is lambs, bulls, goats, things that could never take away sins. They merely prefigured Christ and his priesthood. But in the New Testament, Jesus Christ on the cross is priest, sacrifice, victim, and at the Mass, it's his priesthood, his victimhood through the sacraments. It's his sacrifice that bears fruit for us today. Now, this week we celebrate the feast of St. John Marie Vianney. And St. John Vianney was, the devil would bother him. The devil would set his bed on fire. St. John Vianney got very little sleep because he heard confessions many, many hours during the day. And St. John Bosco says that my confession is the devil's bankruptcy. Okay? When I go to confession, the devil is empty-handed, leaves empty-handed. Confession undoes all his hard work. Confession is the devil's bankruptcy. And that's why he disliked St. John Vianney so much. And once the devil was forced to admit the great good that St. John was doing, the devil spoke to St. John Vianney and said, "Two more like you, and my kingdom would be in shambles. Two more like you, and my kingdom would be in shambles." It's kind of a testament to the great good that even one or two priests could do. Okay? St. John Vianney led a very austere life. He ate like two potatoes for a meal. And he said the third would be simply for the pleasure of eating. So he even mortified his appetite. St. John Vianney once appeared to the devil. The devil appeared to St. John Vianney, and pointing to the statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the devil said, "If it were not for her, you would be mine." Okay? If it were not for her, you would be mine. St. John Vianney also says that the proper dress for a priest is a shabby cassock and a chasuble of gold. A shabby cassock and a chasuble of gold. A shabby cassock for his humanity, but a chasuble of gold because he acts in the person of Christ the high priest. And so in this year of the priest, we renew that intention to pray for priests. I remember in the seminary, you knew that some people were seeking the priesthood of Jesus Christ, but there were a few who were just seeking ordination. Well, ordination is a lower bar. Okay? The priesthood of Jesus Christ is a very high bar. Okay? Actually, it's crucifixion. Okay? And so we pray for priests that they will always keep in mind their vocation, that high bar of Christ's priesthood, which they are called to live out.